Welcome to another episode of the BOBCAST. I'm here today with Lynn Duttlinger, one of our directors at CLH. But today we're not going to be talking about any of our tax or accounting. We're going to be talking about community involvement. And Lynn has been a great example of that. Not only has she served on several boards and nonprofits, she's also worked with various organizations in various roles. But today we're going to talk about her dedicated work that she's been doing for a number of years. Welcome to the BOBCAST.
Thanks, Bob. It's great to be here.
CLH takes pride in serving in the local communities, on boards and nonprofits, and you've been such a great example of that. What motivates you to do that in general?
Well, in general, Bob, I got passion for certain things. With that passion comes the need to serve the community. Alzheimer's is probably my number one passion so that we find a cure. I think we're getting closer. We've got some medication that's coming out. Medicare is now providing assistance. I feel we're getting a little bit closer.
Well, that's great. Well, I know you definitely has been a passion of yours. And I know CLH, that's what we always try to encourage staff, is to find things that are a passion. And you've been such a good example of that to our staff. So thank you. Now, but let's talk about Alzheimer's in general. You just mentioned you've been doing it for 12 years. But if you don't mind, let's just share about what was the driving force to get you behind this.
The driving force was that in 2012, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Coincidentally, that year I saw a walk to end Alzheimer's being promoted in Michigan City. With my mom being diagnosed, I thought, oh, what a great way to, start to get involved and learn some things about Alzheimer's, because it was the first time it was affecting my family. And to be frank, I thought Alzheimer's was just memory loss. And someday my mom would just forget about me. But as I have learned through my walk, through my associations, through research and dealing with my mom, Alzheimer's is a bit more than that. So,
what is, and let's just, for people who may not, everybody's heard of it, or most people should have by now, but what is the simple definition of it?
Simple definition is Alzheimer's is a progressively degenerative disease that affects the brain. Some people call it that there's a plaque buildup. The neurosenses in the brain stop working. So that's why memory starts to fade. People can stop walking, motor functions. Eventually people can stop swallowing. So it's far more than just memory loss. It's really a debilitating disease.
Yeah, I, like you, that's what I thought it was, pretty much was just the memory loss.
Exactly.
An advanced form of dementia or something like that.
Correct.
What's your primary involvement with it?
Well, my primary involvement has been through fundraising through the walk, which is an annual walk, usually at the beginning of October. So I've done that. I've gotten to know a lot of the people in the Alzheimer's organization, both in Northwest Indiana and at the state level. I have been asked and did do an interview on NPR this past year. I was then also involved and asked to be part of a discussion with companies who care, so that companies are aware of how it affects their employees, and both as caregivers and as patients. Then I was asked but was unable to attend a national conference. So I'm hoping maybe to go again this year.
Well, that'd be great. And NPR, if you're not familiar, is National Public Radio. And it was a great interview, so you can probably look that up
Yes.
at some point, or we'll try to put a link to it on the bottom of this, because there were some good questions that answered. In doing the walk is one of the primary things. I know you always set goals for each year.
Correct.
And so just few things, and those goals are how far you're walking, but also how much money you're raising.
It's
right?
how much money.
So what was the total for this year, and what's your cumulative total in funds that you have raised for Alzheimer's?
This year I had set a goal of $7,500, which was my biggest goal that I've ever set, and I raised $8,080.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's great. So cumulatively, where are you at?
Cumulatively, I personally have raised $58,071 over 12 years, and then I also am the team captain of Team Hope, and in those years we have raised $58,780. Basically, my team is just a group of friends from my sailing community, family, other friends that have joined me, CLH family members have joined me as well. And it's really more just community, getting people involved, hearing about Alzheimer's. My team isn't a team that's done to raise funds. It's more just supporting everybody.
So a good time getting everybody together, and I'm sure afterwards you guys do some socialization.
Yes, I take everybody out to lunch.
When is next year's walk?
They have not set a date yet. It's usually the first weekend in October. You can usually count on it to be a beautiful weekend before the walk, and then during the walk it's windy, cold, raining, possibly snowing. So
So you definitely have to be dedicated to do the walk
yes,
and continue to raise funds.
Yes, it did not rain
Alzheimer's.
this weekend, but it was very, very windy. There's actually 2 sections that you can walk. It's at the Washington Park. I always do the walk, which is along the lake. It's a beautiful walk. It's not an easy walk, but it's very pretty. It's about 2.2 miles, I believe. The other walk is great for somebody that's in a wheelchair, families that are coming out with children in strollers. It's a paved way. It walks around the park and in front of the zoo.
So it's a dedicated path that they have.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
That weekend, the walk is really, that's a national weekend, right?
No,
or is it just local?
It's a local weekend. There's national walks. My sister participates in one in Massachusetts. There's walks all over the country, and the walks are determined by the area. So for instance, there are 3 walks in Northwest Indiana. There's the Lake County, there's Porter County, which started just a couple of years ago, and the LaPorte County. So they don't all want to be on the same weekend.
Right. Give everybody the opportunity to contribute and support each of the local communities.
Correct.
Why don't you share some of the memories of your walks, some of the highlights that you've had over the years?
One tradition that Andrew and I, my son Andrew, have done every year since my mom's passing, which was in 2017, is we each draw a heart. I put put mom in the middle of my heart, and Nana goes on Andrew's, and we just draw a heart and get our pictures taken with that, just in memory of my mom. You also carry flowers that are like pinwheels. Each color is symbolic of something. I started out with orange, which was caregiving. Now I'm at purple, which is I've lost somebody to Alzheimer's. And the pinwheels, because it's so windy, all the petals come flying off the pinwheels. So you have to be really careful to hold it carefully. I have to say, this was the first year that I didn't wake up dreading the walk. It brings back tough memories. It was the first time that, I'm through all the participation that I've done recently, Alzheimer's now is something I talk about and share. It's not as painful of memories as it's been in the past. So that was very exciting for me. To not be dreading the walk. We've dressed up, we've had purple hair. The problem with some of the outfits we have is I had purple derby hats, those went flying off in the wind, so this year we didn't. But the walk itself, they do a great job. There's different booths. Jenny Gerton with Ed Jones, who we've done a bunch of work with, and is Angela Groth's sister. She sets up a booth there. Ed Jones is a national sponsor. Different nursing homes are there. Everybody has some swag. They had creepy clowns there. They were great, very well done, but creepy clowns. They have face painting for the kids. So it's a great event that they put on. They do a very, very good job.
I know all of this was in memory of your mom who passed away from Alzheimer's, but I know there's other things that you do to keep your mom alive. So do you want to share some of those?
Sure. I'm also a volunteer at the South Shore Sailing School, which is a not-for-profit that I helped bring back to life. The school has been in existence for many, many years. Back in the 50s, I believe it started.
Okay.
So we brought that back as a not-for-profit, and I purchased a boat for the youth camp. I've called it Nancy's Pearl is the boat name. Not only is that for my mom, but also Bob's wife, Jill. Her mom was Nancy, so it kind of fell into a dual purpose as she had Alzheimer's as well.
Right, she passed away from that.
Right,
So.
right. So I've been involved with that. You know, a lot of what I do is help support people that are dealing with Alzheimer's. I had a good friend of mine reach out to me. He and I spent an awful lot of time talking back and forth on the progressions, things that, you know, helped me, helped my family, things I learned along the way. So I try to spend a lot of time just making myself available to people that are dealing with it. I'm also on the YMCA Foundation Board, and one of the individuals that works at the Y, her mom has just been diagnosed, so she and I have started conversation.
That's wonderful.
So just trying to be a support.
No, that's great. Well, that's so much needed with that disease. I know you're a big gardener. That was something you got from your mom, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. My mom was a huge gardener. At their home in Massachusetts, she had a huge garden. She worked in every single day. In their place up in Maine, they have some beautiful, more wildflower looking type of gardens. But my mom has a garden of just white flowers. So I make a point of getting flowers that are white. As a matter of fact, tonight I'm picking up some irises and lilies that are white that a woman is offering to give away. She has so many. So I try to remember my mom with that. I've taken some transplants of some of her plants and have put them in my yard, and as well as Andrew has some in his. So definitely gardening was one of my mom's passions, as well as birding. She taught me a lot about birds. So, and all of these things are coming back. I didn't think I remembered half of what she taught me, but you know, it's all coming back. So there's a lot of ways we remember Mom.
Lynn, thank you for taking time and just sort of sharing about that. I know this is very important to you, and I know it does a lot. As Lynn mentioned, my wife's mom passed away from it. So it is a terrible disease that you have to watch a loved one go through. But before we check out, I need to acknowledge, I mentioned on the front, that Lynn received one of the most influential women in Northwest Indiana for her work in her career. And so congratulations, Lynn.
Thanks, Bob.
And I know part of that also was being involved with so much of these community activities that you do as well. Until the next time, so long from the BOBCAST.